got some bad news for the mainstream media. It turns out there are more radicals sitting behind the news desk at MSNBC than there are at your average Tea Party rally. A poll released last week by the New York Times and CBS News, two organizations that aren't exactly known for being friendly to conservatives, found that members of the Tea Party movement are more likely to be coaching Little League than plotting to overthrow the federal government. You see, it turns out that Tea Partiers look a lot more like everyday Americans than you would think if you believed everything Keith Olbermann tells you. Let's examine some of the media myths about these patriotic Americans that have come to be accepted as conventional wisdom. Myth number 1. The Tea Partiers are a bunch of uneducated simpletons who simply do whatever Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck tells them to. Wrong. As a matter of fact, Tea Partiers are more likely to have gone to college than your average American. They're even more likely to have a graduate degree. We're sure that'll rub the folks in the faculty lounge at Harvard the wrong way. Myth number 2. The Tea Partiers are really just a bunch of well-funded Republicans trying to create the illusion of a grassroots movement. Not so fast. It's certainly true that the Tea Party nation is conservative. After all, when was the last time you saw a group of liberals look to the founding fathers for inspiration? But the Times poll shows that 4 out of every 5 Tea Partiers see serious differences between their movement and the mainstream GOP. And as for the notion that this is a movement dominated by the rich, in reality, Tea Partiers are 10% more likely to be middle class than the nation as a whole. These are people who are standing up for their convictions, not for cash. Maybe someday people on the left will realize that we right-wingers don't have professional protesters. After all, most of us have jobs. Myth number 3. The Tea Partiers are driven by hatred of President Obama. We hate to burst the media's bubble, but most of us on the right could care less about President Obama. In fact, when they were asked to name something positive about the administration, about 20% of the Tea Party members surveyed by the New York Times even said that they liked the president as a person. The issue isn't Obama himself, but the path that he's putting the country on. And the Tea Partiers are not stubborn ideologues on the issues about which they disagree with the president. For example, most of them describe the amount that they paid in taxes this year as fair. What they're really truly worried about is the tidal wave of new taxes that are headed our way if Washington can't keep its reckless spending under control. If you don't share that concern, then you're simply not paying attention. For over a year now, we've been watching elites on the left dismiss the Tea Partiers as crazy so that they don't have to bother responding to their legitimate concerns. With the media as an accomplice, they've been partially successful. But as Election Day nears, it's becoming clear that the Tea Partiers are here to stay. That's more than we can say for the members of Congress the Tea Partiers are targeting. That's this week's Freedom Minute.